Hello, everyone. It's Jerry at the Fledge, and welcome to another episode of Every Damn Day. So today we're going to mix things up a little bit. A couple of changes in the way that we're going through the show, and one announcement that I have to make that's not extremely well defined yet. But Mr. Joe Walker, the champ who was on the show last week, him and I have decided to create an alliance between the Every Damn Day show and the thisent.com website. So I think he's going to start posting the show on there and doing a little write-up or something about it. And we're going to get more involved maybe with some of the content on thisent.com or whatever. We don't know what we're doing, but we think it's a good idea, and we're going to move forward and keep taking steps. So shout out to Joe Walker and thisent.com. Now, I'm excited about my next guest because I just love the project that she is working on. Shout out to the Arts Council, but we'll do that again. And I want to get right into that. So, hi, Alexandra. How you doing?
Doing great. How are you?
I am doing well. So, you mind telling us where you're at?
Yeah. So I'm sitting in the isolation chamber at the Fledge right now, and in Lansing, Michigan. And my name's Alexandra. I am a ceramic artist. I'm a professional tile setter. I'm also a bartender and a kind of artist of many hats and trades. And so, I'm putting together a project.
When you said isolation chamber in the Fledge, I'm thinking, man, a sensory deprivation chamber at the Fledge would be super awesome. I did
one for the first time like a week ago down in Columbus. And it was everything I wanted it to be. And I definitely think I want to do it some more.
I've never done it. And I can't remember the movie, like with Jeff Bridges or someone like that in it, that first kind of turned me on to it. Mm-hmm. And I would love that.
Yeah.
So was that expensive to do?
Well, I was visiting friends who live down there, and they have some really nice facilities for these down in Columbus, and they have like a monthly membership but haven't been able to go for all of COVID. So they had like a buildup of 20 floats to do. And we're like, let's go do this while we're here. And I was like, cool. I've wanted to do one for a while and can't get anyone to go do it with me.
How long did it last?
An hour.
You know what? I bet you some people might not know what that is.
So what it is, it's basically this kind of capsule that, to look at it, made me feel like maybe I would be claustrophobic, even though that's not a normal fear of mine. But it's full of salt water, 1,000 pounds of Epsom salts. And the temperature is right at your body temperature. And so you float perfectly in this tank, and it's completely dark, and it's like the closest thing you get to like pure sensory deprivation, I guess, which it kind of did get that way. And you do get just sort of lost in not being aware of your surroundings at all.
See, I want to do it because of my claustrophobic kind of feelings, and just see if it would help me, or if I hopefully you can pound on the door and say, let me out of
You
here.
can turn the light on, and they had a couple different versions of it where if you were claustrophobic, it was more like a room that then you could turn the lights off. But I did the little capsule one. And yeah, I don't know. Once you got in and like shut the door, I was like, okay, I think I can do this.
Was it meditative, relaxing? Did you hallucinate? Did you anything like that?
A little bit of everything. I guess it was really cool. You kind of didn't feel the difference between the water and the air after a little while. And I didn't know if my eyes were open or closed. I could kind of see the outline of the door, which I didn't like. I've spent time in a photography darkroom before, where then when your eyes get totally adjusted, you can see every little pinpoint of light in the room. And so it to me did everything I try to do when I try to meditate, just like sitting in the normal, like the usual meditation stance. But that's always like, I get too distracted by my body, like my arm itches or my butt hurts or foot's falling asleep or something. And so this was just like not really any of those things.
Well, there's 6 minutes on a tangent. This show's going to last 3 hours today.
I know,
everyone.
I haven't chatted with many people in like a year, so there's a lot built up here.
But no, I mean that was fascinating. I've always wanted. That's I think that's the longest intro we've ever done.
I recommend sensory deprivation takes.
I'm gonna look this up. If I got to drive to Columbus,
there's one in Lansing though.
Oh, there
Delta
is?
Delta Floats, it's called, and I've never gone to it, but I've heard decent reviews about it.
All right, got to check that out. Delta Floats. So let's talk about you a little bit more, but maybe earlier back. Where were you born and raised, and where'd you go to school, and what got you to do what you do right now?
Yeah. Well, I was born in the greater Lansing area, grew up in Mason, Michigan, and went to school there all the way through school. And grew up, I guess not exactly on a farm, but around the corner from my whole extended family's farm where my dad had grown up. So, I mean, the members of there's probably like 150 people in my extended family. So just growing up with like lots and lots of relatives and, this person's my second cousin, but we grew up down the road from one another, and that formulated a lot of my childhood. And was always really artistic. Was really into music when I was a younger person, and then when I got to college was struggling a lot with the fact that they made you choose a major, because I wanted to major in about 25 different things, and I was kind of upset. I had to pick something, and I chose art because I was taking a pottery class at the time, and it was very meditative and just I don't know what it hit in my heart right then, and it felt very right. And I figured I will never get tired of art. I've learned since then I can get tired of art, but only when it's like work. So I got to be careful about my balance with that. But yeah, any topic I'm interested in, I can fit that into an artistic, creative realm. And so that's kind of how I've proceeded in trying to pursue some kind of creative life and follow. I'm interested.
Where'd you go to college?
I went to school in Kalamazoo College, and
an awesome place.
Yeah, it's a really awesome place, and I was really attracted there because it was very small and very progressive, which wasn't really the atmosphere I had grown up around.
Yeah.
and not necessarily with family, but more in the broader community. And also, their study abroad program was a huge draw. I really wanted to travel and still want to travel every place I possibly can.
So one thing, I just want to give another shout out to Kalamazoo College, because this is a gem of a university or college in Michigan that most people don't know how great this school is. This is a very good school, right?
Yeah, I mean it opened me in ways. Yeah, I had a fantastic experience there. You know, they really pack so much into it in a way that I don't think I ever would have gotten at a large school or, you know, state school or something.
I had a guy on the show a couple of weeks ago. He went to some school in Vermont, and it was in the 70s, and he got to just define his own degree and what it meant to get the degree. So he didn't really have to declare a major. It was just, this is what it is. And
Yeah.
then they approve it somehow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So did you travel abroad?
I did. Yeah.
Where'd you go?
I spent about 7 months in Nairobi, Kenya, in 2007 and 8. And that was actually a really super defining moment in my life. Yeah, we were talking earlier about happiness and sadness. And I learned during that time, during the year I was there was a presidential election that went very awry. And the very, very condensed version of the story is there were riots for a couple of months after. It was an international news event, and I lived in a building that was like in the background on world CNN, you know, all the world news stations, witnessing, 1,000 to 3,000 people died in the conflict after that. And so witnessing that and then feeling lots of feelings about the fact that I'd come to, you know, just love this culture. I was living with a host family then, and also like just the feelings of being able to leave and come back to my own country, and thinking even before, well, I'm grateful for the things I have, but not even having any idea until I returned home, just how much we do take for granted living in this place.
Okay. I know exactly the event you were talking about. I was in Dubai at the time when that was going on, and there's a lot of Kenyan refugees that make it to Dubai. And so there was a whole community that was rallying around the people. And I think the old guy tried to steal the election, right?
Yeah. Yep. So the incumbent president rigged the election. The other candidate, and there's also a lot of tribal cultural stuff involved in that. It goes back to colonialism and before as well. And it's really, to witness as an outsider was really, really eye-opening.
I could spend another 20 minutes talking about this with you. We might have to do a different show sometime. So let's talk about your projects. So you've got the big one with the Shiawassee St Mosaic project. I said that all right?
Yep. Shiawassee St Mosaic project. It's quite a mouthful. I couldn't come up with anything else.
I'm going to share your Facebook page, but would you mind telling us about it?
Sure. Yeah. So this project is kind of based on a vision I've had over the last probably more than 10 years of being really enamored with ceramics as a material, and so excited as I didn't really learn what it was until I was, 19, 20 years old, and had never done like art classes really in school because I was really involved in like music and theater stuff. And so I guess as I learned all the things, you can make ceramics look like any material you want. And just got excited to showcase that. And also, ceramics is like at the same time what we have artifacts of, to learn more about human life or life a very long time ago. And at the same time, it's also this very fragile material that I've had pieces I've worked for weeks on just like crash to the floor and be nothing. And I guess those kind of juxtapositions and contrasts are super fascinating to me, and to just kind of push an experiment with those is really cool. And I just want to share that with other people. And so what this project is really me kind of designing a mosaic, but then also I have so far over 300 people have made tile that is going to be a part of this. And there will be more opportunities in the coming couple months, and especially now that it's getting a little bit easier to get together with people. And the weather is nice, so we can do more outdoor things, but tile workshops and just teaching people more about clay and getting people engaged within this city and thinking about what do they love about Lansing, how do they feel connected and belonging and tied in here. That was kind of where I was coming from in putting together this project, because to me, sometimes as an artist, it feels a little bit like I feel selfish in just being like, here's all my stuff, look at it. And partly it's just like, no, I just want to share it. And I also want you to experience the experience I get when I make art.
That I love how you've built all that in. It's deeper than just some surface thing. Hey, I'm going to go get a bunch of kids to do this and da. I love the experience part, because that's the joy in art for the artist in a lot of ways, right? Is that creating process. Yeah. But everybody else gets to see, like, it almost gets handed over to the public, and they don't get to see that other part.
Yeah. And to me, that's a lot of it. Like, the end is just like, yeah, I did that. This is what I came up with.
So you must be like a continual thinker. You must think in spectrums all the time. Like, nothing's right or wrong, or nothing. Like, it's all kind of a spectrum.
I've tried not to let myself get too boxy in my thinking. And there have been moments in my life where it has gotten more that way. And then I need to make adjustments I've realized somewhat recently, I'm very chaotic in my thoughts, but I also really thrive with that. But then I get overwhelmed too and distractible. And so it's really just a balance of like trying to hone in on like focus, but also not so much so that you are suffocating yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about after the show too. Because number one, I love this idea of the clay, like, kind of workshops around the place where I want to definitely be involved with that somehow.
I would love for you too. Yeah, I'm just so excited. And especially, this was actually going to be supposed to be done last fall. And so the timeline for me psychologically, I'm like, oh, I've been like working toward this for longer than I'd planned at this point. But I'm just like ready to go on it now.
So one thing about, you said the word clay. Are ceramics and clay the same thing? Are they real close?
They're real close. I mean, I guess it's funny because the word ceramic is used differently depending on if you're in the art world or in like the trades world, like when you're building houses. Yeah. Because I've now worked with a great mentor for over 5 years who taught me to do residential tiling, and you have porcelain and you have ceramic tile there, which porcelain is really a type of ceramic, I believe. But yeah, ceramic is really in the art world more of what's called stoneware. And it's just kind of differences in what type of earth you're using, because really clay is just dug up from the earth and then you heat it to hot temperatures and it chemically changes where it will not break down as easily.
Yeah. So that was the question I was going to ask you is, have you ever like dug up clay from the earth and you use that for your art? Or do you
Well,
do that often?
I'd like to get more into experiments with that. In one class I had, they were doing construction on a building, and so they had a big hole in the ground, and so we went into the construction site that was like 10 or 15 feet dug up some clay from there, and then we'd gone to Lake Michigan and gotten some material from the beach that we used to make a glaze, and then did this like wood fired this Japanese style anagama wood firing with these pieces. But other than that one time, I haven't really done that since.
I want to do all that you just said about digging up the clay and getting, was it sand? Like did you make a glass by heating it sort of, or?
Yeah. Well, sand is silica, which is glass, which is the same as what glaze is. Glaze is glass that paints onto a surface, and when you heat it, it melts and then re-hardens, kind of changes and different colors come out depending on what other elements you put into your glaze. And so yeah, really, I mean, ceramic is hardened earth and then glass. So it's all earth things.
This is awesome. So one more thing about the Shiawassee Street Mosaic project. Where's it going to be installed at?
So it is going to be installed. I'm going to be starting install in the next couple of weeks on the Shiawassee Street Bridge, the portion that runs right by the river trail. Rotary Park is right near there, and Lugnut Stadium, the city market, is just down really close to there. So on the side of that bridge, there's a picture on the page too of what the site is.
Okay. So we, like a lot of my crowd knows exactly where you're talking about because it's our skateboard spot from a long time ago. So yeah, that's going to be very cool. So are you covering up a piece of art that's there right now?
No, there's nothing there right now. Okay. It's the southeast side. There's kind of like a curve on the wall, and it'll be everything below the curve and then the portion of the steps that go up to the street.
Okay. That's going to be sweet. We'll look at the photo. Other things, there's other projects you do, right? Like you said you're a bartender.
Yep.
So do you want to talk about that at all?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I've worked in restaurants off and on for a long time, 10 plus years, and always just really, really enjoyed the community feling that you get in a restaurant, and kind of the teamwork involved in making a restaurant run really well. And down at People's Kitchen right now, and what I find really cool about that atmosphere is it's a very open, creative environment in which your ideas can be shared and heard. And right now we have a crew that is such like a well-oiled machine. Like a restaurant has so many little parts to, so many small businesses. But when one little thing is off, it's just so easy to feel it. But it also feels so good when like everything just works pretty well.
Yeah. Do you feel like in there, because I think Jeff's done a really good job of making that open and creative. Am I right? I mean, I'm looking at it as an outsider. But do you feel that chaos and that thing we were talking about earlier inside of there sometimes? But
I enjoy the chaos of being in the middle of a rush when you're busy and doing your thing. Like, I like to move when I'm working. So yeah, and then you get done and you're like, whew, I'm tired. That was good. I made some money. I love you guys.
Yeah. So, what else? Do you have any other projects on the horizon after the Mosaic one, or during,
Yeah.
or?
Well, I have some ideas in the works, and I have a couple of things I haven't quite solidified yet. But after this project is finished, and I'm hoping to get finished like midsummer, and I'd like to do more of this kind of thing. Just I have a new kiln that I got last fall, and so I've been doing custom tile work up until this point, along with restaurant work, but I really want to move more into um, all the things I can make now that I have a big kiln. I'm really excited to make three-dimensional things. Man, I love tile, but man, I'm really itching to have things not be flat anymore too, and be able to mess around with gravity and heating things up really hot and seeing what happens. And
Yeah.
so that's where I kind of see him going next.
What would you kind of say your mission is? Like, why are you doing the Shiawassee Street art project? I mean, I'm sure there was a grant from the Arts Council, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
but
the reason sorry, where's your
I was just thinking, but I know it's not for the money. I was going to say that, but I'm interrupting you.
No, you're good. Well, I wanted to. It's partly wanting to have people feel more invested and engaged within this place that they live, and the other people that live around them. I think also, to be quite honest, as an artist, like I always feel a little bit of this like kind of, I don't know if selfish is the right word, but sort of just like, I just want to show you this cool stuff that I've seen or can do, not to be like, oh, look at this thing. I don't know, just the inside of my brain looks really cool sometimes. And I struggle with the fact that I can't like get enough of it out most of the time. So yeah, doing a project like this is just an opportunity to do all sorts of work with that. And then it just gets bigger and bigger as you hear all of everyone else's ideas. And they're like, ooh, I want to make a tile about this. And then I get ideas about like, oh, this section could go like this based around this, this tile or these themes here. So, yeah.
How would you articulate like the mission that you're on or the vision that you have for, what's the right word? Like, what's the thing you want to tell your grandkids or something? I don't know where you're at with that, but that you accomplished or that you changed or that you did.
I want the work that I make to make a difference to other people in their lives. And that experience I had in Kenya, there was another portion of the experience where, like, literally simultaneously, one of my best childhood friends was killed, and it was a very mysterious, really terrible circumstance. And when I came home, I had no idea what I was going to do with myself. The bottom had just been like yanked out from under me, and I had no idea what anything was about anymore. And that is really when I dug hard into art. And I didn't know anything about therapy back then, really. And I just really dug into making art because I could not tell people about what had happened, because there was absolutely no way to describe it. Because this crazy thing had happened in Kenya. Simultaneously, this crazy thing had happened in Michigan, and both were like super close to my heart. And no one I knew, other than maybe one friend who had been a really good friend before going to Kenya, like no one could really relate to that. And I kind of just tried to figure out how to do my own therapy with that. and art was the thing that was like, well, I can get up in the morning and make something, and try to get through this day.
So, I asked the question, what do you do every damn day to push your mission forward? And it seems like art might be the obvious answer. I always feel silly asking that question sometimes. But what is something you do every damn day to push your mission forward?
Quite honestly, I don't make art every day. I don't make as much art as I would like. But what I do every damn day, especially that I have worked on more during this past year, a lot more isolation, is just reaching out more to people who, as I think of people, oh, I should talk to them, like, we'll just do it.
Yeah.
So I guess reaching out more has been something that's pushed me along, especially recently.
And I think that that's something all of us could do a lot better. Creating connection or maintaining connections, creating connections to just keep each other, an eye on each other, make sure we're okay, lift each other up, all of that. They often say like connection is the opposite of addiction, but I think it's the opposite of depression. It's the opposite of violence. It's the opposite of so many things. And I just feel this big swell of depression that's turning into anger right now. And we see it in the shootings and the fights and the arguments. And I love what you're doing because, it's a way to combat that.
Right. It's a way to process those things that, we can't just push it away because it doesn't go away. And so we have to figure out how to live within it and how do we push forward in a positive manner without destroying ourselves in the process.
You're a badass. So we daisy chain these shows together. And yesterday on the show, I had, sorry, I had Najima. And her question to you was, what brings you joy? And we are going to talk about this a little bit later on too, but what brings you joy?
What brings me joy is, we talked a little bit about connection and community already. That feeling of feeling connected and feeling that others are feeling connected definitely brings me a lot of joy. And also seeing movement and progress in good directions, or just optimism and potential, while also being realistic. But just seeing the forward movement of anything definitely brings me a lot of joy.
Tomorrow on the show, we have Jenna and McShane Photography. I keep forgetting her new last name. Sorry. I'll get it by tomorrow though.
Hovey. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Hovey. Jenna.
However I say it, I'm blaming you.
Okay.
What question would you like to ask Jenna?
What are you most proud of yourself about?
And I flipped that question on you. So what thing are you most proud of yourself about?
I am proud of myself for bravery and stepping into things that are uncomfortable to me.
What is bravery? Because I think people mix it up a lot. But I think you put it in the definition right in what
maybe stepping into things that are uncomfortable to me or scary. And knowing that still being afraid is okay.
Yeah. It's funny that you say this. I feel like a lot of synchronicity in the show right now because a lot of things you're talking about, I've been thinking about. And I've been thinking about how people manage fear, they don't manage risk. And if they would manage risk, then they could see bravery a little bit more. But by managing fear and just avoiding things they're scared of is
Yeah.
not doing anybody a favor. We are not learning when we're in that phase.
Yeah. We have to go toward. I literally was just having a conversation with my dad right before this, and we were talking about making decisions either as a person or as a country. We were just talking about the larger world and how making decisions and setting up structures or restructuring things not based on fear but going toward a vision you want to go toward, and how the results with that kind of vision are so much better than when you're making decisions based on like this weird, I'm going toward this but I'm also like retreating from it at the same time because I'm afraid.
If we could eliminate that fear mongering, I think we would be much better off. We're always trying to scare each other into doing something we want the other person to do, and it's a horrible thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, dang, we should have your dad on the show too.
Ooh, he can talk more than me.
So, all right, we're going to get into this is where I'm changing things up a little bit, and I asked you the question a little bit earlier, and I'm going to kind of group all three things together for this show, but change it for tomorrow. What is happiness to you, and are you happy? What brings you joy? You already answered. And what gives you hope? You sort of built into the answer of the joy thing too. So happiness, joy, hope, and then sadness. How do these four things how do you look at that?
So happiness to me is, I've always thought of happiness versus satisfaction. Whereas satisfaction is a place I truly want to get that is a more solid baseline, versus happiness can come and go day to day. I'm in a good mood today or not. And satisfaction is more of a broad, holistic kind of view, at least in my definition of how I'm talking about this. But and what else? Joy, hope. What was the other thing?
And happiness.
And happiness.
Oh, and joy, happiness, sadness, joy, and hope.
And sadness. Yeah. I think sadness is important within the happiness or the happiness, I guess, isn't so important to me, although I like happy times. But the overall satisfaction and I think experiencing suffering and sadness and difficult times and feeling broken in some way, or having something just break you somehow, in those moments really break open and bring out something that when we are feeling the happiness or the satisfaction that to me allows me to appreciate it so much more fully than I ever did when there was a time when I think back where I hadn't suffered or gone through a hard time in my life yet.
I love that we're talking about this. You and I talked a little bit before, and I'm kind of making this up as we go. I mean, I've done the show such the same way for about 250 times. Mm-hmm. And I want to ask you a question. What's the word mosaic mean? What's a good definition of that word?
That's a good question. Mosaic means, well, technically speaking, it means a work of art, traditionally made of tile or glass, that is a bunch of little pieces that make a larger piece. And honestly, that's another cool thing I find about this Mosaic project is that there are going to be thousands of works of art within this larger piece made by so many hands have touched it. I got some tiles back the other day and she was like, "Oh, sorry, my cat's hair is all over it." And I'm like, that's great. Your cat is going to be a part of this. Like, my dog's hair is all over all these tiles. So, that to me is kind of a metaphor, a physical representation of what connection and community really means.
And as you were talking about this, again, a spectrum of these feelings and sadness and happiness and satisfaction and all of that, I started just seeing the mosaic of these feelings coming together, and want to examine that a little bit more, because I think I might change the whole way I ask the question.
Okay.
And center it maybe around the mosaic or the spectrum of what is, it really is coming from, what does the pursuit of happiness really mean to you? And that's what I've been trying to get at, and that's maybe what I should just ask.
What does the pursuit of happiness mean to me? I guess the very stereotypical answer is it's the journey, not the destination.
Yeah.
Trying to enjoy and pull meaning, I guess. I really love to analyze meaning or wonder about the meaning of things or chat with people about, what did this mean to you? What was your perspective on this? Here's mine. Meaning. And yeah, to me, that makes the journey very worthwhile.
I've really been doing a lot of examination of the American dream since I started the Fledge. So our mission is to create opportunities to pursue happiness. And I don't think that is given to everybody freely. I don't think it's a right. I don't think that life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is something that we're all given. There's racial bias. There's all kinds of inequities. And you got me thinking. Glad I had an artist on today when I was doing this transition. I think you just made me a lot better.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
What did we forget to talk about?
I don't know. Probably a million things.
well, we definitely want to do some workshops, and we kind of talked about that. Do you have any planned yet?
Yeah. So, kind of this new format, now that we've kind of fully gotten into what is starting to feel like real summer weather, which is what I've been waiting for. We needed to kind of get past that risk of freezing at night before I really want to start putting things on the wall. So as of this point, I'm thinking starting next week, I have kind of open office hours at my studio, which is also my house on the east side. And so it's the studio is really my garage and driveway. And so Tuesdays and Wednesdays from about 3 to dark, I will just be there kind of clocked in, working on things. And so people are welcome to stop by if they would like to make a tile, if they would like to just check it out, see what I'm doing, help with discussions of whatever part of it I'm trying to figure out right then. So that is one way that people can get involved. Also, there will be more set events to do workshops. I believe on June 10th, I'm participating with 501, an event that they are doing downtown. And now I'm forgetting the name of the event, but
I'm forgetting it too. We talked about it yesterday.
Thing happening. Yeah. I'm going to be doing some kind of workshop there, and we're going to be chatting a little bit about how I can switch up my usual format for workshops to be able to get more engagement or have different types of themes that people can do. So,
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Otherwise, in a couple weeks, I'm going to be starting to put this up. I have a few other people who will be helping me somewhat, and there will be plenty of opportunities, I think, for people who want to get involved and whether to see or in many ways.
So I don't think you gave your exact location for where your house is, which is perfectly fine. What if someone did want to come? How do they find the location?
Yeah. So if you just go to the Facebook page, it's on Facebook, Shiawassee Street Mosaic Project, or I also have an Instagram, same thing, Shiawassee Street Mosaic Project, I think is the full name for it. So if you message me on either of those and say I want to stop by your house and go to a workshop, I'll send you my address.
Okay.
I just didn't want to post it publicly.
I wouldn't blame you. That's what I was trying to get at too. So, message, and that is Tuesday and Wednesday, 3 to dark.
Yep. Maybe some other days in there too, but I will. I need to get up to speed on my posts on the page and just fill in on what exactly is going on right now, because I know I haven't updated it in a little bit.
Okay. So we'll watch for that. What would you like to take us out with?
So much of this year, in my experience of it, has felt like treading water and just keeping yourself steady, because I knew I had to keep it all together. And now I think as we're starting to emerge a bit more, being higher rates of vaccination and hopefully lower rates of the virus, sooner rather than later, don't lose sight of where we're at in the journey, I guess, because I do see us going in great forward directions because of that, because of, all the suffering that has taken place for many of us in the last year on so many different levels. Stick with it.
Thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for being part of our community, and thanks for making us stronger, more creative, more innovative. It helps. It's super important. So every damn day at 2 p.m. Stay tuned for tomorrow for Jenna, and I will see you later. Have a great day, Alexandra. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you. See ya.